Costa Blanca FM. Costa Blanca FM.
Welcome back. Time's 10:33. You're listening to me, Dave Ball. I've got with me Dave Diggle from Blacktower Financial Management. Haven't seen you for a month, Dave. How's things? What you been up to? Tell us everything.
You're referring to my life, or are you talking about the finance world?
Well, let's hear about your life first of all. A bit of personal
Well,
stuff.
the Jazz
Let's
Festival.
get behind the real Dave Diggle.
Of course, the San Javier Jazz Festival kicked off on the 3rd of July.
So you've been there.
I've filled my boots, and I'm there again tonight. 15 or 18 euros, whatever the ticket price is.
Yeah.
Magnificent bands all night long. It's just fantastic.
Anyone particular you've...
Well, I went to see the what's called the Chris Mindoki Nomads on the 3rd of July with my favourite drummer was playing.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing the rapturous applause that drummer got is incredible. That was on the Friday, the 3rd of July. Then I went to watch AC/DC at Wembley the following night.
I saw your post on Facebook,
Yeah, which was a little bit disappointing because the sound at Wembley was so far back, I just couldn't see anything, is the truth.
Yeah.
And the sound was bouncing around. So this is the bizarre thing. We got back to the hotel and the bar was shut. So but round the corner in London was a Spanish tapas bar that was open.
Oh, brilliant.
So we went there and discussed the abysmal evening in there till 2 a.m. So
Oh, it was saved at the last
it was
moment,
by a Spanish bar. Would you believe that? So that's incredible. Markets-wise, since I last saw you, of course, the major news would probably be what was going to be the Grexit. It's not at the moment, but the markets had a bit of a wobble during the period of the... I'm going to talk about risk in a second, but for us personally as advisors, that Grexit situation, will they be bailed out, will they not? The markets took a bit of a hit on the 30th of June or around about that time, which is our quarter valuation date. So it meant a couple of valuations were probably a few percentage down than they would have normally been.
And this is all because of the Greek economy. And
Well, these sort of things happening. But what I've noticed about the markets, because they're always very sensitive, but the market got fed up with the rest of the world and all the happenings. There's plenty of things happening around the world that would normally dent the market. However, I think the market's just getting a bit bored of it all. So effectively, they're just sort of looking at the Grexit situation. I mean, prior to that, we had a problem with China in that information was coming out of China saying there was a bit of a dip in the economy. That affected markets a bit. And then the new information came out that actually it's not so bad as it was. They couldn't trust the data coming out of China. They had a bit of a wobble on the markets.
So just China. I mean, what's going on with
that?
Don't
say that on there. Yeah.
Too late.
Yeah. So effectively, those two things have wobbled. The ISIS thing, for example, the Tunisia thing, didn't really have an impact at all. And all of these things would have an impact, but the Grexit situation dominated everybody's thoughts.
It is a huge thing, though, isn't it?
Well, it would be good or bad for you. The point about it is they're staying in for now. And that's the point. Either way, I think Europe is going to lose money. That's my personal opinion. So if Greece would have exited, then it wouldn't have paid back the loans anyway. And we've bailed them out with further money. Will we get that back? They've actually ended up handing over assets as security. So it wouldn't surprise me as, for example, the Acropolis would be, owned by BMW one day or something like that. Who bloody knows?
That'd be quite interesting.
I shouldn't swear. Sorry about that. I'll just...
Wigan Town Council might claim roads or something.
I know. Who knows? And of course, you've got the problem. These what they call the Elgin marbles. Remember that? That was an issue. So perhaps we ought to hold on to them. Is the truth?
Yeah. Well, a bit of security.
Bit of security, exactly. That's it. So apart from that, it's been fairly quiet. The markets have returned to normal within that was probably about a 10-day period.
Yeah.
Markets have returned to normal. But what I would say is those little chinks in the markets, that's when the fund managers use their skills and make some money.
That's where they
yeah, exactly. So you'll find that those people who aren't in the best positions will lose money during those periods and other people will gain. That's how it works. And we make sure people in the situations where they're gaining with good fund managers. That's how it works, So, yeah.
So you're keeping busy?
Yes, although I have to say I've had a couple of cancellations, excuses, bad health or whatever. It probably is, but I think it's due to the heat, quite frankly.
I think it's more to do with the beer the night before.
Yeah, it could be that as well, yeah. Heat and beer is a terrible combination. Yeah, immediate headache.
Yeah.
So, bit of sloping off, and of course I'm sloping off a little bit now. I'm going back to Jersey for 3 weeks in August. See the family and all the rest of it. Yeah. So, in fact, I've got an appointment at 11:30 this morning. One at the end of this week, and then I'm shutting the door then for the rest of August.
Wise choice, I think. August, we should. None of us should work. Are you listening, boss? None of us should work.
In fact, I'll tell you, you could do some. We have got air conditioning. It's not working, is it?
Yeah, it's on. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
it's not feeling it.
With all these machines and all that sort of.
Perhaps it's radio nerves. Who knows?
Perhaps Perhaps we stop hugging. That might help.
Yeah. Very good. Play
So
some
what have we come
music.
to talk about this month? Then?
Well,
What are you going to tell us?
I'll tell you, it's a little bit dry, but I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about risk.
Yep,
Now,
gotcha.
What am I talking about risk? There's things that all of us deal and manage risk every single day of our lives. But just a couple of things to do with investing. Currency risk is one that we particularly have to deal with out here, simply because we're dealing in euros, and most of us come from the UK that I'm listening to, well, I'm talking to now, and so we had a currency risk. That risk, of course, is when I came here. I bought my house for, I think it was at 1.66. Well, the risk was that the rate would go down. The rate did go down as I was doing my stage payments. I ended up paying an average of 1.54. Sorry if I seem a bit anal in working all that out, but I did.
I think most people are aware of those small differences in figures, but because they've got pensions being paid into their accounts over here from the UK, and they notice that difference of £100 a month or 200
Yeah,
quid
well,
a month.
that's exactly, that's a currency risk. So when that happens, so when people came out and thought, we'll go to Spain and we'll get probably about 1.45, 1.5 in the old days, when it went down to almost 1 for 1, they must have suffered. Now, that's a currency risk.
Yeah.
So you've got to do things, because, we've learned after the crisis, we've got to mitigate these risks better. But the point about it is, that is a risk, and that's why you've got to defend against that sort of thing. Just a couple of other risks. Systemic risk is something where, let's take a Greek bank, for example, but you could do it in any industry. If one Greek bank folds, the rest of them will probably fold because they all owe each other money. Yeah. That's called systemic. So you've got to have safeguards to stop them all collapsing. Effectively, they more or less had. It's just that they're being bailed out by the ECB. Yeah. So that's systemic risk. Concentration risk. This applies to a lot of people, whether I'm giving it a technical name there, but concentration risk would be not putting all your eggs in one basket. Right. So, for example, if you own 2 houses instead of 1 house in investments, I've learned this since the crisis, that's a concentration risk. You've got too much in property. Yeah. So that's a concentration risk. It's the same as if you have all your money in one bank or all your money in one investment. It's concentration risk. If it folds, you've got a problem.
I've got all my money in one drawer. It's called the change drawer.
Is it really? Now that you've told me, that's a risk. Yeah. So, what else we got? Interest rate risk is another thing. I know that sounds like an obvious thing, but if you're bargaining, or we used to bargain on sort of a 6 or 7% return prior to the crisis, of course, interest rate risk, that went down to what, 0.5? Fairly quickly. Yeah. So that was a risk. So these are all risks that have got to be mitigated in the way we look at. The other one, actually, is just a human condition. It's called myopia, is the myopian risk. Yeah. It's actually tunnel vision. So when I talk to clients about investments or they want to make some money, all they do is focus on return. But it's our job. We're aware of that risk. Yeah. They're focusing on return. I could all day long tease them with figures of returns, but that's not what it's about. There are other factors to consider in the investment. For example, passing it on to the kids easily if something happens, tax efficiency. So if you're not taking any money out of the investment, will you be charged a tax? So we make sure that you don't get charged a tax. Whereas in a bank account, of course, if you earn interest, what little interest there is, whether you take that money out or not, you're going to be taxed on it. Yeah. So we make sure that, again, that people tend to get focused on the return only, but there's much more to investing than that. But that's what we're here to look after. That's the truth.
Look after their money.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we're going to play a tune. I think you might
like
it.
Thank God for that.
Do you want to introduce it? This one's Ray Woods will love this one.
Right. The Who. I used to play this on drums. It turns out, The Who. My Generation.
You're listening to Dave Ball on The Breakfast Show, sponsored by Coy's Rent-A-Car.
Costa Blanca FM.
Welcome back. You're listening to me, Dave Bullis. It's a breakfast show. It's, where are we? Friday, 24th of July. Dave Diggle from Blacktower Financial Management is with me. So, Dave, if people invest some money, what sort of return can they expect? Is there can you turn around and say, oh, you'll get 10% on that or 5% on that, or is it that accurate? Or
it can be, depending on the product. But getting back to what we were talking about before, risk, we've got to make sure that we're with an organisation that's got the clout to guarantee anything. So if somebody guarantees something, they've got to have the clout to guarantee it. And that's been the problem during the crisis, of course. A lot of places couldn't do that, including banks. Yep. So it's all very well saying there's a compensation scheme. How long do you have to wait to get your money after it's collapsed? So actually, it's about 18 months, as it turns out, but that's neither here nor there. We have several investments, and it depends on the risk profile of the person involved and what they need for their objectives. Yeah. So, for example, if somebody comes to me and says, Dave, I need 20%, I'm in a bit of a hard place, then I can put them into investments that will do that. But you've got to take the risk that goes with that, and there's a volatility. You might get the 20, you might only get 10, you might even lose 5. That's the way it goes. Most people we speak to out here are retired. They don't want that volatility. They just want to know what they're getting. So we would generally, it would depend on your circumstances. I've got to stress that, but it would generally, we'd probably use something like the Prudential.
So to put it in simple terms, basically, if you're investing in a high risk, you're choosing to invest in a high risk option, you're gambling.
No, we wouldn't see it as gambling, and I'm not trying to give you sort of sales spin there. We would mitigate all the risks that I've told you about to do the best for you so that you can get your money out quickly, that type of thing. Put it with fund managers who are proven fund managers. We make sure the sales team is still, the fund management team is still the same fund management team that have been running for a few years, that type of thing. So we're mitigating those risks.
So it's a calculated risk.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, the other thing is, you've got to be in the races to win. So we make sure you win. Now, if there is the investments we've just talked about, those high risk ones, if there is a downturn, normally you'll get an upturn as well the following year, and it will continue. So over the net 5-year period, you'll get a definite growth, is what would normally happen. Not if I stuck you into China or Korea or something like that. Yeah. So what we do is we put you into a balanced fund. There's a bit of everything in there, and you'll generally get the growth.
But just in South Korea.
Yes. Because we don't know what's in North Korea, do we? No. Yeah, unless you're investing in military. Yeah. Anyway, so, all dogs. Let's not go there. But just generally, we use the Prudential quite often because, it's a big organisation that's got AAA credibility. That's important. So the Pru's not going anywhere. It's 135 years old, and they've got 3 times as much capital as they need by law. So there's plenty of financial strength there.
British company?
Yes, although it goes through the Irish arm for tax reasons, is the truth. So if you're an Irish, if you're listening and you're Irish and you're interested in this, you have to sign a declaration that you don't live in Ireland anymore, otherwise you'd be taxed.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
Yes, it goes through there tax-free. Now, just to give you a very quick idea, if you're sterling and you want growth, you'll probably get, I'd say to people, the Pru tell us what they're going to do every quarter. Yeah. So I'll tell people, I'll say, roughly just around about 5% you'll get per annum. Now, I'm looking at one here, valuation. Look at this, Dave.
Yeah, I'm looking.
In 9 months, this particular client, she got 5.67% in 9 months. So
that's not bad.
Well, that's very good, but of course I said to her, 5% because that's what the Pru told me that they'd be doing, but they've done better than that. Another one, you can take up to 5% income if you want. So, for example, this particular person here, she invested 150 grand. You don't have to invest 150, by the way. The minimum is £20,000 or 25,000 euros. But 150 grand, they've taken 5% per annum. They've taken it monthly. Yeah. And they've got a gain of 1.61% also, and that's in a 13-month period.
That's on top of what they got every month?
Yes,
wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. I mean, the idea is there's a smoothing system built into the actual product itself, so you don't get the volatility like you do. So when the Greek thing happened, for example, there was no movement on the Prudential price whatsoever. There was no down or ups. It's a smoothing system, and it just suits all the people out here who are at the end of their working life. They just don't need that volatility. As long as they know there's a consistent sort of growth of around about 5%. Which is what I tell everybody because it's done better the last few years anyway. But generally 5%. If you're happy with that, don't take any further risks. We're happy, and we don't get any problems with the Pru either. So I don't want to sound like I'm a Pru salesman because we're independent financial advisors. Yeah, exactly. I'm cupping my hands as we speak. So
I guess if people invest for the long term, the return is always better.
Well, it's like anything, it's compounding. We don't want to get too mathematical about that, but if you leave money in there, it grows and grows and grows because you're getting growth on your growth. So that's the truth. But, just going back to what we were talking about, you can do an investment in sterling or euros. Yeah. It doesn't matter whatever you've got. What I do think generally, I'm not sure I should be saying this, but we're here in Spain, so I'm going to say it anyway. I don't trust the banks here. I've got 1,001 stories. You're better off moving it offshore to somewhere like the Pru where it's safer. And the other thing is, within the wrapper, most people here have children. Most of them are UK residents. If you die, it passes on to the kids straight away with no issues. No hurdles in the way. You just say to us, or your partner says, sorry.
No Spanish bureaucracy.
No, that's it. I mean, and their hurdles are many, aren't they? We all know you put in a piece of paperwork and they ask for something else.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Something that you haven't got, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And then you've got to go and find the person who can get it for you. And
that's it, exactly.
Go queue outside the police station at 3 in the morning.
These are other things. You just don't need that grief.
Yeah.
So something, I mean, we do, well, the age of the customers that we do have, it does happen. and it goes on to the kids very, very quickly with no hassle. There's one little other thing there actually. Because they're tax efficient products, when they grow, so if you don't take an income and it just grows, there's no tax to pay whatsoever.
Right.
If there is a tax to pay, it's reported by the Prudential to the hacienda here, so you don't have to do anything, they do it all for you anyway. But generally, if you don't take any cash out, there's no tax trigger. So it grows, and then by then, if something happens to you and it goes back to your kids in the UK or a UK residence, then your kids will get the entire growth, and it will start from day zero again. So that growth that you've got is no tax trigger anywhere, whether it be here or the UK.
Oh, so it's not like inheritance tax or something like that?
No, nothing like that. So it just skips that bit. So it's that's just another added small bonus.
All right, well, time's moving on very quickly. We're going to play your request, or one of your requests, and then we're going to come back and you're going to tell us a little bit more before we finish, yeah?
Yes, remember I've got a client at 11:30.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got a coffee at 11.
All right.
Okay, well, this one is Sting, and it's 7 days. Good choice. That's Sting and 7 days for Dave Diggle. So what else have you got to tell us today, Dave? We're running out of time today, so you'll have to talk quick as well.
Yeah, all right. Well, I've got lots of things to talk about, none that you'd be interested in. So I'll just I'll just leave you my contact details if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So if people need something to do with their cash, they want long-term growth, for foreign exchange, anything like that, mortgages even, contact me, dave.diggle@blacktowerfm.com. The FM stands for financial management. You can contact me on my mobile, which is 615-607-278. So that's 615-607-278. Or you can phone our head office, which is in Javier. That's the JAVEA in the north, as opposed to San Javier in the south.
Yep.
We've got 5 guys working there, but ask for me, please, if you don't mind. And that number is 965 058 212. But they will, if you say where you live, which is down in the south of Costa Blanca, they'll refer you to me anyway because I'm the advisor down here. Okay. I could open up an office down here. I choose not to. I spent my life in an office. I really don't want that anymore.
Don't blame you. Yeah. Well, anyone who's missed those details, I will have them here. You can contact me, and I will put them up on our Facebook page after the show if you leave.
Thank you very
me,
much.
So everyone can get hold of you. Thanks for coming in again. It's been fascinating again. Really, I'm not saying that just financial management and that. You normally sort of think, oh God.
I do.
No, you do. Well, you make it interesting, so it's good for us as well.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
All right.
Does that mean I get another invite? Is that correct?
Oh yeah, you're coming back, are you?
Well, I'm away in August to go back to Jersey to see the family.
So we'll fetch you back in September.
September, that's okay. Beginning of September.
That's a date.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.